Hey, good morning, Lit Up. I'm going to be reading chapter 21 of Things Not Seen. We are almost done with this book. Chapter 21 is called Findings. Newsflash: invisible people make excellent spies and thieves. Finding exactly what I want at the legal department is ridiculously easy. Access through the security doors, a snap. I wait for a slow-moving person of considerable size and slide through the doorway right behind his behind. Finding the right information, a cinch. I've got a name to work with, Amber Carlson. It's the woman who stonewalled Alicia on the phone about 2.5 hours ago. I find her office on the 4th floor, which is the only hard part, and then I wait patiently in the empty cubicle until she goes to lunch at 12:25. Miss Carson apparently trusts all of her co-workers because she doesn't log off of her computer, which is good because it saves me the trouble of finding Alicia and telling her that this is going to take a lot longer than I thought, which it would have because I'd have to wait until Amber Carlson got back from lunch. Then I'd have to look over her shoulder to learn her password and then wait for her to leave the office again so I could use her computer. I don't know if I could ever be a good lawyer. Lawyers are organized. The folks at Sears keep their files in such good order that I bet I could start from nothing and find whatever I needed in about 15 minutes or less. But I don't even have to do an actual search. That's because I've got inside information. I happen to know that Amber Carlson accessed the very file I'm looking for earlier today when Alicia called her. So all I have to do is use the Recent Documents utility on her computer, point, click, there it is. Which is kind of a shame. I went to a lot of trouble to memorize the model number of the blanket, all 10 characters, and now I don't even have to use it. The database notes show the entire history of my doomed electric blanket. Turns out 9,308 blankets were sold before it was discovered that some percentage of the controller units had been manufactured with faulty resistors. As of today, 379 consumers have complained, and of those, 163 have accepted a new blanket. When the problem was fixed and noticed, the legal counsel had advised that there should be no product recall, but rather customer service should go with a replace as requested plan. Only one customer had complained that he believed the blanket made his heart pacemaker malfunction, and there was no inquiry and there was no lawsuit. Still, to be on the safe side, the legal staff set the policy that any complaining customer with the pacemaker should be advised to discontinue use of the blanket and return it immediately for refund, credit, or exchange. I'm glad I know enough about computers because all I really want from the file is the list of 379 people who complained about the blanket. And with a couple simple sort functions, I've got their names and their addresses and their phone numbers isolated to one list. Printing out the list would make a big stack of paper unless you know how to format, which I do. And it turns out that the Amber Carlson is an important person in the Sears legal department to have her own little laser printer on her work table by the window. And it looks like out over the rolling lawn, I can still see the building that Alicia is in. So I put the whole list into the 7-point type, space it properly, format it into 6 columns, and print it out. I ended up with just 3 pages, very small type, but it's readable. I fold the stack of pages inward from top to bottom 3 times and then fold the result in half lengthwise twice more. What I end up with is a wad of paper about 1 inch wide and 2 inches long, the perfect size to stick up underneath my left armpit. Gross and uncomfortable, but it's effective. As long as I keep my left arm clamped against my side, the paper is completely hidden. By 12:47, I'm on my way to hunt for Alicia. I could just go to the main entrance and wait for her because that was our plan, but what is the fun in that? I'd rather track her down. I glide through 3 different doors. then down one stairwell along one corridor, through one last door, and then I'm outside. It's a lot more spring light in Hoffman Estates than it was in Hyde Park. People are all over the place, eating lunch, resting, talking with friends. They look like creatures who have crawled out of their burrows to soak up some sunlight, except for the smokers. There's always a little group of them outside almost every single doorway, standing around looking sort of defensive. They're not outside for the fresh air. I hold my breath when I go past so I don't have to smell that stuff. The map at the reception area and the personnel offices are in a building that's close to the main office. Again, I wait for someone to help me through the security doors. Once inside, I'm lost. I'm on the ground floor, and it's an area about the size of 3 football fields. There are partitions and corridors and 9 offices around the perimeter, paintings and posters everywhere, bright and cheery, but it's still like a maze. This is an employees only area, so there are no signs, no helpful maps, no diagrams, except for an occasional emergency evacuation poster. So I just wander around. My shoulder is aching and my arm is starting to go to sleep from the pressure of the clamp of the paper in my armpit. I'm almost ready to give up and I head for our rendezvous spot. But then I hear Alicia's laugh, complete with that little snort at the end. I follow the sound to a glass-walled conference room where she's sitting with a bottle of Snapple and a thick blue folder on the table in front of her. Alicia's smiling and nodding and moving her head to follow the voices of the people at the table. She looks like she could have just graduated from college with honors and 3 proposals of marriage. Apparently, the guy who picked her up from reception is the big joker, because as I approach, he says something and I can't quite hear it, and Alicia and the other 2 people in the room start laughing again. Also, at the table is a man who looks as old as my dad, with a wrinkly face and with a gray mustache and not much hair up on top. He's wearing incredibly thick glasses. The 4th person is a woman, maybe 30, maybe younger. She's got short blonde hair and big earrings, and she's wearing a soft gray pants and jacket outfit with a pink shirt. A nice enough face, a good smile, but squinting. Then I see this lady's, like Alicia. She's got a white cane on the floor by her chair. The meeting's just breaking up, and I'm outside looking in. I get too close to the glass, and my breath fogs it up, so I move back a little bit. And then I watch. I watch Alicia. She shakes hands, first with the older man and then with the woman. The smiles and the hand clasps are so strong. They're so real. They're so warm. And it's like this wave sweeps over me, and my eyes get blurry, and I swallow a little hard. Alicia takes the arm of the younger man, and I turn and walk away fast. I don't want her to know I saw any of this. I don't want her to feel like I've been spying on her. I know she came on this trip to help me out. But this meeting, she just had it. These people that she's met and talked to and laughed with, there's something that she's done on her own. It's part of her life, not mine. It's got nothing at all to do with me. I'm in the reception area when Alicia and her guide appear, and I keep well away. And another warm handshake. Then he's gone, and the woman in the dark glasses at the desk say, "Alicia, I noticed you arrived by a cab earlier. Would you like me to call one for you?" Alicia hesitates, so I hurry over and I gently tap her cane. She's startled, but she doesn't show it, and then she says to the lady, "Yes, that would be great. And be sure the driver knows this is a ride to Hyde Park in Chicago. Some drivers don't want to go that far." "And thank you very much." "Well, certainly. We get good service from the local cab company. They'll take you wherever you want to go. There's a bench to the left outside the front entrance if you'd like to wait outdoors. Otherwise, I can show you to a seat inside the doorway." Alicia smiles again and says thanks and heads for the door. Thinking I'll be helpful, I take hold of her cane out in the front of her hand. She stops and shakes her head sharply, and I pull my hand away and then follow her outside. I wait until she's found the bench, and she sits down. No one's near us, so I say, I got in. I printed out a long list of names. Can I put it in your backpack? Alicia nods and swings her back off of the back of the chair and unzips the main compartment, holding it open. There in the bag, I can see a thick blue folder that she had in the conference room. I glance around. I take the list from underneath my arm and I drop it in. Alicia feels it hit the backpack, so she pulls the zipper closed, swings the bag behind her, and loops the straps back around her shoulder. She's whispering to me. So did you get something? And I whisper back, yeah. The cab that arrives has no divider between the front and the back seat, so I can't talk to Alicia. There's nothing to do but settle back in the seat and look out the window. The outer highways are not too crowded, but when we get close to O'Hare, everything bogs down. The cab is crawling through afternoon traffic. I'm 3 feet away from two other people, and I can't talk to either of them. I've never felt this alone. And the worst part is that Alicia seems perfectly content not to talk. She seems glad that she doesn't even have to try. The driver looks up into his mirror and says, my sister, she works at Sears out in Rockford. Rockford. Good company, you know. Good benefits. Alicia nods and smiles and then turns her face toward the window. The cabbie makes a few other attempts to get a conversation going, but Alicia just nods or murmurs a little bit, so the guy gives up and punches up a country station on the radio. It's a slow ride home. It's almost 3, and right on schedule the cab arrives at my house. I've got the list of names stuffed under my arm. The driver puts the car into park and says, that'll be $58, miss. Alicia pushes her door open and I scramble out. Then I lean back inside and I whisper, call you later. And thanks. Alicia nods silently to me and then faces the cabbie and says, I'm so sorry. I just remembered an errand I have to run. Could you please drop me at the big library on 56th Street between University and Ellis? Because that was our plan. The driver shrugs and pulls the car back into gear. Your money. Alicia closes her door and the cab pulls away, and I watch her go. There's a gust of wind from the east, and I shiver a bit. I turn to go inside, and I feel like something has ended. Or maybe it's begun. Or maybe both.